This is Lindsay McLeod Garcia at Indiana State University Nursing 444, and my public health education project is on e-cigarettes and health. This is geared towards teenagers who are the population at risk, and the objective is for the listener to be able to describe e-cigarettes, their effect on your health, and ways to stop smoking or using vapes. And you take the pre-test before you listen to this PowerPoint to see how much you know, and at the end, take it to see how much you've learned. So who is using e-cigarettes? Of course, adults, but in 2019, it was found that 5 million teenagers were using e-cigarettes. 10.5% of these were middle schoolers and 27.5% were high schoolers. What is an e-cigarette? We've known them as Juuls, e-cigs, vapes. The bigger systems are called mods. They do contain nicotine and other substances that are harmful. They can be used for marijuana and other drugs as well. It is an electronic device that heats the liquid of nicotine, flavors, and other chemicals inside that go into the air, and then this aerosol is what is inhaled into the lungs by the user. And then also on the other flip side of that is that when it's exhaled, then bystanders then breathe that in. So there is secondhand smoke exposure when it comes to e-cigarettes. They have a battery, a heating element, and a tube that holds the liquid inside. It can look like a cigarette, a pipe, a cigar, a USB flash drive, which is what the Juuls look like, and those a lot of teenagers were using because they could hide from their parents. A pen or a large, like I said before, the large system is called a mod. What is nicotine? Nicotine is the addictive part of cigarettes, cigars, and other tobacco products. And even with cigarettes, 99% of them have nicotine, and some will be marketed to have zero. But it has been found that even in those ones that say they have no nicotine, that there is some found when tested. This is a harmful substance to young brains that are developing, and these brains end up developing until the age of 25. It affects the area of the brain for attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. Nicotine affects how new memory synapses or the connections are made. So when learning something new, these pathways are created in your brain, and nicotine affects how those work. And it can increase the risk for other drug addiction and smoking cigarettes, burning tobacco cigarettes later in life. The other health effects related to e-cigarettes, some are still uncertain how it will affect the lungs. There have been fires and explosions due to the batteries in the e-cigarettes exploding. Ingestion and direct contact with the liquid has caused poisoning, but that typically happens in younger children when the device is left down. Is it just water vapor? So the aerosol inside places the user at risk for harmful effects of nicotine and the products that are inhaled into the lungs. These flavors have been linked to lung disease. There's volatile compounds, cancer-causing agents, and heavy metals like nickel, tin, and lead. I know that these are often marketed as being less harmful than regular cigarettes, but it still has substances inside of it that place the user at risk. And then also for secondhand smoke, anyone that inhales anything around is also at risk for inhaling these harmful substances. The flavors are often geared towards kids and younger generations. They're fruity or other kid-friendly flavors. Advertisement they've even done that appeals to younger generations. And even though cigarettes aren't allowed to be advertised on TV, they have had it where e-cigarettes and those things were. And again, the marketing has been that it's less harmful than regular cigarettes. As far as regulations go for e-cigarettes, in 2016, the FDA was given authority to regulate the manufacturing, marketing, and sales of these electronic cigarettes. But then a lot of changes have to be done at the state level when it comes to smoke-free policies, pricing, and the age of sale for tobacco products. And in 2018, the FDA created the Real Cost, which was a campaign started to educate on the risks of e-cigarettes. And they used this campaign to advertise online and in schools where kids were spending most of their time. There's also a Truth Initiative that was started that helps educate on the information on e-cigarettes and how safe they are. Like stated in the previous slide, these were initially marketed as being safer than burning tobacco cigarettes, and that's been found to not be true. When it comes to quitting vaping, it's important to look at how it's affecting your life. Does it control your moods or your routine? Is it impacting your school, your feelings, your relationships, and of course the cost of it? When you look at quitting, it's important to look at the benefits and make a list. So then when you're having a hard time or urges, you can look at it to remind yourself of why you've made this decision. Quick Start is an app that you can download to help with stopping, or else you can text quit to 47848. It's important to set a stop date. So then you have time to get prepared and feel confident, just making sure that it's not too far in the future, so then it gives you time to make excuses or find other reasons to not do it. It's also important to make sure that that date does not coincide with other stressful events like a test at school or a move or anything like that. It's important to learn what causes you to want to vape. A lot of the times there's a routine associated with it, and having to change those routines helps when it comes to quitting. It's important to know what your feelings or people are that trigger you to want to vape, and it's important to try to avoid these, especially in the first little bit. It's important to plan for withdrawals and cravings, learn what you can do to fight these, avoid others that are vaping, be prepared to have to say no, especially if people are used to you doing it. Stay positive and ask for help and support, talk to your doctor, use quit lines. There's also, on the next slide, I'll give some resources that are available. It's also important to know that some people may not be supportive, and you need to be prepared for that. It's your decision and a good one for your health to stop, and it should be respected. As stated in the previous slide, there are quit lines like 1-800-QUIT-NOW or the National Cancer Institute Live Help. These help give one-on-one counseling, and it's a phone line where you can talk to someone. There's also smokefree.gov, and this website has a lot of information that's geared towards different groups. It has teens, it has it in Spanish, it has people over 60, so it's a good resource for just geared towards just different groups of people. There's also Smoke Free Teen that gives tips on how to stop. It also puts you in connection with other teens that are also quitting. And then Smoke Free Text sends out texts and support. It's good for those that cannot go to a group or actually talk to someone. It gives links to websites and other support topics. So these are good resources to use when you're quitting, and they help with that support that you'll need.